Welcome to Real Herbalism Radio, show 237, recorded at Big Dog Studio in Eugene, Oregon. Today's show is made possible by... Oh man, that's such a pickup. You got to try this tiger tea from Sacred Blossom Farms. In fact, if you go to sacredblossomfarms.com right now and enter in Real Herb, all caps, 15, you can save 15% on your next order. Tell them that Practical Herbalist sent you. Now, here are your hosts.
I'm Candace Hunter.
And I'm Patrick Hunter.
And welcome to Real Herbalism Radio. Well, Patrick, you're just really not in sync with me at all today.
No, I'm not. Maybe it's the whatever.
Who knows? It's the California wildfires hitting you. Maybe
it is. I mean, we've got millions of acres of stuff on fire, and Oregon has got their own forest fires now, and everybody east of us is going to start seeing it and hearing it or feeling it in their air.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty bad.
We all breathe the same air, really.
Yeah, we do. Some of us more closely than others on those fires. Hopefully
we'll be able to get them put out sooner rather than later.
For sure. So, with that being said, I wonder if there's any.
If we don't get them put out, we can just keep feeding the air east to the hurricanes that apparently want to take out the other coast.
Yeah, between hurricanes in the Gulf and the east and forest fires, I mean, our August and September are quite active.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we had a good chance to make some fun stuff from Natural Woman, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did. We did.
You made that
the pineapple tapache that I didn't tell you I made.
Yes, I know.
And I really liked it, actually. It was better than I expected.
Yes, but I don't think I don't like it. I didn't like it as much.
Yeah. Well, I let you smell it, and I gave you a tiny taste. Then I put it in salad dressing, and you liked the salad dressing.
Well, because it masked the flavor. So,
I think I let it ferment a little bit long, though. It fermented on the counter for more like, it's supposed to be, if I remember right, the recipe says like 3 days. It's a short ferment like a kimchi. And I think I let it go more like 3 weeks.
You went that long with it?
Yeah. I let it ferment quite a while.
Wow. So,
well, you got to try recipes.
So, dear listeners, know that I tasted it well into fermented
it's really
time,
sour.
Right? So it could be really good after the 3 days.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to totally do it again.
Right.
I'm just not going to tell you. I'm going to do it again, and it'll be fun.
What section of the book was that from? Do you remember?
I know it was on page 21, so it was the beginning section, but I can't remember. I don't, of course, have the book in front of me right now because, I knew you were going to ask me something like that, so I left the book at home.
Because she does have them organized by, I believe, by systems?
Like systems and needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The beginning, if I remember right, the beginning was more about like just having good preparations on hand for daily care or daily health, gut health, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. We ended up discussing also her mole recipe. That was the other big one.
That was really good.
And comparing it to the time that I made it, which was 13 plus hours, to
to
her mole recipe, which was much more doable. I think we did it. And it was like under 2 hours.
That was a very fast to make mole, which was good. Because mole is really tasty.
I did, and I thought it tasted as good as the 13-hour bad boy as that. So I don't think.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there was a 9-year span of.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, you remember.
Seared and remembering. Burned and remembering. And she had some other really good ones that I thought were really, really interesting. Like a couple of her coffee recipes were.
Yeah, there was a coffee recipe, the one that you were interested in trying. I think did that one have the cardamom or saffron? No, cayenne. I think it had cayenne.
Oh, no, there was a cardamom saffron one.
Was it the cardamom saffron one?
Yeah, I wanted to try that. And the...
I think that's the one that I was thinking of, the cardamom saffron one.
There was a cayenne one, too, and I maybe.
The cayenne cocoa was really good, but I don't know if cayenne would blend as well with coffee.
Cayenne cocoa is always good.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked how good it was, actually.
Mm-hmm. I can't have too much of it, though. It makes me hiccup.
I know.
And that's not any fun, having a cup of coffee. And
No. Yeah. No, not at all.
I was at a lunch about a week or two ago, and someone said, "Oh, have this," and I said, "Okay, yes." They said it's a little spicy, and I did, and my body immediately, I was like, "There's cayenne in there, isn't it?"
Yeah.
And there was a lot of cayenne, and they said, "Oh yeah, yeah." I'm like, and I just started hiccuping.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole table was laughing at me.
Although this is another time where you can say, to be fair.
To be fair.
I don't know that cayenne is the problem as much as spicy is the problem for you.
But I don't think so, because in most, I'll have a lot of spicy food and well-seasoned food, and it doesn't do it. But if I have certain peppers, every single time it'll do it.
And it's a level of certain pepper.
Right. I mean, if you give me a super hot jalapeno, I'm hiccuping all day.
Yeah.
Well, not all day, but at least for while we're eating them.
While we're eating them.
But you know what the funny thing is?
You keep eating.
I keep eating.
Yeah, I know. I know I've made a good curry when Patrick's hiccuping across the table.
Yeah, and I'm sweating and I'm hiccuping and, are you okay? Oh, yeah, it's really good. You know, if I don't have to wet my brow from it, you know, that's not very good then. So
Right. Right. Yes.
I'm just looking at you. Like,
You're staring at me
well,
like you're expecting me to say something
yeah,
gold. I'm going to say something golden.
something golden.
I really enjoyed talking with Leslie. She's a delightful woman to talk to. And I still am astounded that when she was so young, she knew what she wanted to do with her life. I mean, so few of us have that kind of clarity at that young age. I mean, 8. You know?
Yeah. I mean, at 8 o'clock, I think I wanted to be a fireman.
Age 8, yeah.
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 Oh my God, or
Right.
or an artist or an architect. I don't know, but it wasn't. I didn't know. I mean, most of us really have an idea, maybe, that we want to be this when we grow up, like a policeman or something, because those are things. But not like, you know. She just seemed like, you know, she knew when she was driven.
Knew so
I mean,
much,
but
yeah.
when she was 18, I mean, you and I were just being born. I think if we did the time frame right, I think.
What, you're trying to make me old now?
No, I'm saying that I was surprised by her age, and I was surprised by what she was already tackling at 18, and where I was at 18.
Right.
You know, and where our kid is at 18.
Right.
You know, to try to really, you know, look at that and say, wow, man, she was traveling to foreign climes and doing all these things and finding her way and you know, going into, I believe it was Mexico, if I correctly, you know, and you and I are just, you know, just toddling around on the floor,
Right.
You know. So for her to know that, I mean, you know, you knew what you wanted to do when you were much younger, but you got derailed.
Yeah. I ended up going in other directions for a long, long time.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to say people, but people in your life kind of threw curveballs at you, which prevented you from pursuing the writing that you wanted to do for many years.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, what the interesting part is, you know, you wanted to be a fiction writer. That's something you knew you wanted to do. Right. That changed. Then you moved on to something else, but you always came back to it. It seemed like, and you know, even after getting the degree you got, and all of a sudden you end up being a writer in a different fashion, being a technical writer. But then now you're writing in, you know, a nonfiction sense. But then again, you know, you are writing and you are following what you thought you were going to do anyway. It's just not necessarily in the picture that you.
Oh yeah, when I was like 10 or 12 years old, I had this dream or this vision, not dream, but like this idea that what I wanted to do was grow up and be a professor, probably of English. Mm-hmm. That way I could justify spending my non-work hours as a fiction writer, which would then contribute to the work, because I knew that the professors have to publish and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know what it meant, but I figured if they have to publish, well, I would have to publish. And I should publish fiction because that would be fun. So I should actually do something fun with my writing. Right. And that teaching other people about English, that would probably be fun too. So, and besides that, teachers have all these short hours because, you know, in my 12-year-old mind, you just had to show up, teach your class for a couple of hours, and then go home. Because that's what I thought professors did.
Don't they?
Well,
summer's off.
You're going to have a lot of angry professors writing in to school you on what it is actually like to be a professor. But suffice it to say, as I progressed through my university career, I realized that I had a very low tolerance for having no money. And I had a capacity for doing practical things with the skills I had. And since I was a writer, I could write and I could be practical about it. I went out and got a job as a technical writer because that was the best paying writing job available to me at the time. So,
well, yeah, that is true. And you excelled at that. Now you write for the Practical Herbalist, but you also have done some fiction work. I mean, you've written stories. I mean, the one that I think that's great that you marry both the nonfiction and fiction together is Herbalism for the Zombie Apocalypse that you wrote.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And I think that's volume 1. So
yeah, it's volume 1.
There's a lot of demand now for volume 2.
Right there is.
He left a huge cliffhanger, by the way. So no spoilers for people that want to read it. But it is available on Amazon, by the way. Shameless plug.
Yeah, part of why I wrote that one the way I did was that for me, remembering pieces of information and data is a lot easier when there's a story around it. So I thought, okay, I'll write this story in which the main character is using herbalism as a key piece of what is happening and healing and events in the story. So it's easier to really understand how to apply. I mean, it's easy to remember how to make a tincture of sage leaves. Right? But in the moment, and this was an area that was challenging for me when I moved from being totally not an herbalist or, organic or natural in any way into trying to care for my family more like the way Leslie Korn would suggest, with lots of herbalism and that sort of thing. Making the jump, it was hard. When my kids got a fever, the first thing I wasn't thinking of at the time, I wasn't thinking, oh, let's make some yarrow tea for him. Let's get some elderflower. Let's do this, I was thinking, oh my God, the temperature says 105 degrees Fahrenheit. That's way too high. Oh my God, is he going to die? I've got to call the doctor. And I've got to use the prescription medicine or the over-the-counter medicine that the doctor says to use, because my first instinct was drop back onto all the teaching that things I had learned through my non-herbal years, and I was afraid. So when you're afraid and you're not sure, it's easy to fall back onto the old instead of going to the new. And so that was part of why I eventually did find ways to get my make those breaks. The universe offered me opportunities, and I learned. And I thought, well, it'd be easier for other people if they've got some stories in their heads in which someone who has no choice is making an herbal choice.
Right.
It shows you how to do it if you have to. So I figure that might be yet another way for people to think about or remember. It's another avenue for teaching.
Well, yeah, because how many things have we picked up reading a book of fiction that we remember, and it's like, darn it, they taught me something.
Yeah, right? Well, that's one of the things I liked about Natural Woman, too, is that she includes a lot of stories, small ones, but stories from her life and from experiences that she's had that are around many of the recipes and practices she suggests. And that kind of, for me, that helped connect the herbalism and the practices and the plants with actual practical real life. It's one thing to say, oh, yarrow's great for deep wounds. But when you have a giant gash, pulsing blood, do you think, let's run around and find some yarrow? But if you've heard the story about, someone who's an actual real person, modern, not Achilles from like the Greek mythology, and not the real Achilles from the actual Greek wars, but, real modern person. And they say they used yarrow and it actually really worked. It's a lot easier to take the risk.
Right. Right. And having that, not only using it, but then having it in your first aid cabinet, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a way of doing things. A lot of people don't think about that, but it is available and easily used for those types of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
First especially.
So, yeah, it was a great conversation.
It was. So I think that she keeps you engaged. There's tons of recipes. There's even more that I want to try. So even though the book says Natural Woman, I don't think it means for women. I just mean
more like natural human.
Right.
Yeah.
And so everybody can benefit from it. And like I said, there's a lot of recipes and the stories are really good. So I do recommend picking up a copy, taking a look at it.
Yeah, I know we're going to talk about herbs in the news in just a moment here. One of the things about we talked about the rue last week with her. We were talking about that and talking about what she had in the book and stuff. And that, to me, that was like when we're going to be talking about oleander in a moment here. And when that arose in the news, it right away made me think about the rue and about how frustrating it can be when we're not, as a society, respecting our herbalists and people, traditional healers who know about these things and instead are just saying stuff that maybe has been scientifically studied, but we're not qualifying it with all the many, many conditions under which said scientific study might have properly worked.
Right.
So I was really, especially in the context of COVID and all the things that have been coming up over the last few months. I mean, it isn't just the most recent news article, about which herbs do or don't work and how they work and, all of that. I really appreciated her tackling one of the ones that's often been vilified and considered dangerous and poisonous, when in fact, used properly, rue isn't necessarily dangerous and poisonous, but it is one to be cautious with, one to be, respectful of.
It's funny, Kate, every time you say rue, I don't think of a plant. I think of the oil and flour mixture that you use for thickening up stews and soups.
Right.
Every time I hear rue, I think of that. I don't think of
the Cajun rue.
Right. I don't think of the herb. Always with the foodies.
Yeah, always with the food,
One of the benefits of the Herbal Nerd Society is getting custom content written for you every month. Another thing that you get as an Herbal Nerd Society member is the ability to say what you want to hear in our herbal conferences and those herbal articles. You also get an ad-free viewing environment for the Practical Herbalist. Join today at theherbalnerdsociety.com. So, is it time for herbs in the news?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, so something big and crazy happened in the last 2 or 3 days or last week even with oleander.
Yes, oleander, of all things. We've long known that oleander is pretty poisonous. It's even been in fiction. Isn't
there a book called White Oleander?
Yeah, White Oleander, and it's about murdering someone. I mean, the book it's a very complex and richly layered story, but it's about ultimately death by oleander,
Right.
So, death and oleander really closely tied.
Right. Pretty flower, deadly result.
Yes. And while I don't really necessarily pay a lot of attention to the news because I find it very upsetting, you do. Mm-hmm. And I was somewhat shocked when I found that you said that the leader of our nation suggested that we should be using oleander to treat COVID-19.
It's not oleander specific. It's a derivative of it. And he was asked during a press conference and didn't, he doesn't know anything about it, but he pretended he does, like all things. He never admits he's wrong or doesn't know anything. But to be clear, it's not as of right now, there is no medical evidence that shows it is a treatment for COVID-19 at all.
The derivative, the scientific, the molecule that they're studying. Because that's essentially what it is. They're studying a molecule. They're not studying the plant. They're not studying all the constituents. They're looking at just one chemical that's in the oleander plant.
Right, exactly.
So what they are talking about, or I think what our president was referring to, was the chemical chain, a single constituent or a single molecule that is found in oleander. Mm-hmm. And they're calling it oleandrin, which is, I assume, the name of the molecule. So that might be the name of the drug that they've created from said molecule.
Yeah, it's a biotech company, Phoenix Biotechs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And what we really have to get across is oleander, for the average person, stay the hell away from it. Don't use it, don't drink it, don't take it, don't get a supplement from it, don't make anything from it, don't do anything from it. because it could have dire consequences. It just there's no even question.
Yes, and the article that we're actually going to be referencing, or we are referencing, is the American Botanical Council put out an article entitled "American Botanical Council Warns Consumers About High Toxicity of Oleander."
Right.
And it's, I think it would be classified as a press release, but I'll put a link to it.
Yeah, put a link to it. And like I said, it's just one of these things where you're going to hear that it might be a treatment for COVID. It's not now anyway. And,
right.
And just because you heard that doesn't mean that you want to save money or save time or do what people did when they heard about hydroxychloroquine and it came from fish aquarium stuff for clearing aquariums or whatever, and people took that and they died.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that a lot of times the people who are obviously it should be obvious to most people that President Donald Trump doesn't have any actual scientific background, nor is he a doctor in any way, to the best of my knowledge. And he certainly has no license to practice medicine and has no training in medical anything, as far as I know. I don't believe any part of his career has had anything to do with health, healing, wellness, any of that.
No.
He's done many, many, many other things, successful or not, but none of them have to do with science or medical. So he would not be the expert you should listen to when it comes to what supplements or plants to take, what foods to eat, that sort of thing. You probably should, maybe you listen to him, but you should probably look to scientists who are actually studying this stuff, herbalists who are actually working with this for the lowdown on whether you should or shouldn't and what it is and what the consequences may or may not be.
Right. There's a saying, trust but verify. Yeah. So you could trust what he's saying, but verify for your own ideas what is the truth. Right,
right. And with this particular one, we talk about pharmaceuticals having side effects. They don't have side effects. They have effects. They are all effects. That's the effect of the pharmaceutical. And the effect of Oleander is death. That's one of the effects. It may do other things too. Maybe it is antiviral. I don't know. I haven't studied it. I can't tell you for sure. It could be antibiotic in that it's killing whatever biotics or life might be there. That would be death.
But it's kind of killing all of it.
But it's killing all of it. It's antibiotic completely unharnessed. So it'll kill the virus that's in your body because it kills your body. The virus needs your body to survive. So.
Right.
But the reality is, Oleander, no, deadly. If it's always been a deadly plant, it's not going to not be a deadly plant. Don't use it.
Don't do it.
Plant it in your garden for the beauty of it, but don't take it. Don't ingest it.
Exactly. All right. Well, there you go. No new COVID treatment. It isn't the thing. It's really bad. Don't stay away. Yeah.
All right. You certainly can watch the company that's doing the science and see what they do or don't come up with.
Oh, absolutely. But
I suspect Phoenix Biotechnologies is quite a ways away from being able to let whatever they're doing out into the world market.
Exactly. So with that, put an herb on it.
The statements made about herbs and products on this podcast have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided on this podcast or any affiliated websites is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professional. You should not use the information on this podcast and its affiliated websites for a diagnosis or treatment of any health problem. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new vitamins, supplements, diet, or exercise program before taking any medication, or if you have or suspect you might have a health problem. Any testimonials, questions, or case studies are based on individual results and do not constitute a guarantee that you will achieve the same results.